please type them into the question. I'll bring them during the presentation, and we will also have time at the end of the presentation. Now, without further delay, we will turn the time over to Malvika and would request her to start the session by introducing herself to the audience. Over to you, Malvika.
Hi, everyone. I'm Malvika. Probably I can give a little bit of background about where I'm from and how I came here. So I got introduced to Aditi ma'am through my best friend Pratna, who used to go to her, and I did. So that's where it basically started. But essentially, I did my undergrad in India in Delhi University. I completed my bachelor's in economics honors from there, and then I worked with PwC strategy team for a while. And then it was always kind of in my plan to do a master's in the US, and more so a master's in finance. But I came across this degree that kind of gives you a blend of both masters, like in finance and business analytics. And essentially, the more skills you have, the better. So I ended up going for it. Like I applied to a bunch of programs, but this is the one that called out the most to me. And then I ended up going to Duke Fuqua for it in 2022, like 2021, and I graduated last year. Post which I've been working in New York for 9 months now. Yeah. In like I'm in a pure finance role, but that's a little bit of background about me. If you have questions, feel to ask.
Thank you so much for your introduction, Malvika. I'll ask the first question. So please share your experience studying at the Duke University.
My experience at Duke was pretty good. I would say overall, as a course, it was 48 credits in 10 months, which I would say is a lot. But you just need to, like, I would say that I figured out what was important to me because one of the things that, like, the professors also told us that you could do 10 things, but it's very important to be intentional with your time because there is less time. And my main goal was to also secure a job in the US. Like that was, I didn't want to go back after studying. So that's how I allocated my time. A lot of my time was spent in recruiting. A lot of my time was spent studying too because it was quite a rigorous course. And then I did have a lot of fun too. Like I'm really good friends at university. I went to a few basketball games, which is what Duke is known for. And yeah, I think overall it was really good. I think the one complaint that everyone had was that it was like the course duration was a little short for the credits that we had to study for. So if it was like 12 to 16 months, it might have given me more of a breather. But I would say, like, depending on the kind of person you are, you can do it. Like, you can totally do it. Everyone does it if you want to do it. And I would say that at least last year, like everyone who wanted a job got a job either by graduation or like 2 months hence post graduation.
Okay. So why did you choose USA as your study to, I mean, a destination to study? Why not any other country like probably UK or Canada?
For multiple reasons, I think more like it's a mix of personal plus where I saw my professional growth. I think number one would be like growing up, I had visited US quite a bunch and I visited New York pretty often and I fell in love with the city. I think like I thought that it was very limitless and my personality, I think it suits well for my personality. Like if you're the kind of person who's a hustler, who doesn't want a laid back life and who just wants to do new things all the time. I think it's very good for people like that. So like that is being very specific to New York, but in general, the US, I think even my brother's been in the US for almost it's over 6 years now, and he's been working here for the last 5. And in spite of the difficulties that might come along with the H-1B process and everything, I do feel like like the American economy does end up paying you for the work that you do, and like depending on the industry and the firm that you're in, if you're in a good work environment, you do get recognized and you do get sort of like an incentive to stay at the firm. And I think overall, like the culture is pretty good in the US. And as a long term thing, and I didn't consider UK particularly because like the field that I wanted to be in finance, I would say there was like the UK market from whatever I'd known at the time felt kind of saturated. But that is just my opinion on finance, not on any other industry. And the 2 year work visa was kind of a roadblock for me. Like over here, once I get an H-1B, and if the employer wants to sponsor me for a green card, once I get that I-140, at least through that, I can apply for H-1B n number of times. And I'm not like, I don't have, let's say, just 2 or 3 times, and I can stay in the country. I don't have to go back. So it's also very important, I would say, if you want to come to the US, like I kind of feel bad for the graduates this year because like the markets are not doing very well. Like I think everyone who graduated last year got kind of lucky. But this year the markets aren't doing well. So it's also, I think, about more so about timing too. And I know like this couldn't have been timed what the markets are doing right now. But if you're if you get lucky, if you're in a good environment, then I wouldn't say like getting a job is that hard, especially if you're going to a good university. So those are some of my reasons. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me something more about Duke universities.
Um, do you want to know something specific
Like something
about?
about clubs, society that are there.
So I would say that there are a lot of clubs, but more so for undergrads and MBA students. Like MBA, because MBAs have 2 years, they are they get exposed to honestly everything because they have so many clubs. They have clubs in entrepreneurship, in finance, in consulting, in like um, even in the social space too. There are social and environment clubs, there are wine clubs, beer clubs. It's super exciting, and they hold these PEVC conferences as well, which I got to attend. But because like their program is structured, it's more structured, I would say. Like they have the first year in which they apply for internships and stuff. So they have certain campaigns coming, like recruiting, like they have certain companies coming on campus or just more conferences. But I would say like it's very different from India in general, recruiting in the US and just how universities are. There would be career fairs, and you would have to go kind of pitch yourself. And with post-COVID, this is both online as well as in person. But like there are no like on-campus jobs that happen like they do in India. So in terms of, I think overall the culture at Duke is really good. Like one of the first few things that I experienced when I joined the program was like I'm the like a small example of the culture. Like I'm the kind of person who wears like blue kajal or green kajal or like a colorful mix or whatever. So I went to my orientation, and my dean was like, I love your eyes, like I love it, and this is what like Duke and Fuqua is all about. It's like bringing different kind of people together. And I thought they were very inclusive in that way. We also have like at least Fuqua School of Business has Fuqua Fridays every Friday, where all programs, MQM, MMS, MBA, these are the three main programs that happen at the Fuqua School of Business. We all get together, and then you can network with anyone. You can network with anyone from the other batch or the MBAs, and then it's pretty fun. Like they have food, they have beer as well. So it's a very, very fun, inclusive culture. And then every Friday or Saturday, like the undergrads and like the graduate students go to this particular place that only is there for Duke students in Durham, because Durham is very small. It's primarily Duke. If there was no Duke, then there, then there would be nothing to do in Durham. So I would say like being with even in a small city like Durham, it's fun because you're always surrounded by people. And so overall, Duke, I think, provides you with a very fun and inclusive experience. and gives you that campus experience because it's a huge campus and it's a beautiful campus, by the way. Like I would love to walk around, sometimes study in the library, or like go to the Broad Center and just eat there and study there, or just walk around, jog a little bit. It's a beautiful campus.
Okay, so apart from campus and apart from the other clubs and societies, what different is like Duke from the other universities?
So in terms of other universities, like when I think about the universities that I was applying to, I think the difference that I felt was starting from my application process. Because Duke was the only university that had a very different essay. It had an essay that asked you about 25 random facts about yourself, which I thought was pretty interesting because like Aditi ma'am would remember this. Like I was like the most authentic myself in that
I
essay.
do.
And then like she barely had any edits for me, which was surprising to me because usually you would have like a lot of inputs, but she barely did because in that you could literally be your honest self. And that is when I realized that like this university isn't just about like, oh, you should be good on paper, but you should also have like the people skills to be able to mix around with everyone, build relationships. And I felt that in my interview round as well. Like my interview round was with an MBA student. She was an MBA first year student. And like it was just so conversational. And that was the most conversational interview I had had, because like at the time I was applying to some Canada universities too, and some were very like cutthroat, ask you questions, you answer, and then they ask you another question and you answer. It wasn't very conversational. So it didn't make me feel like that's the place where I would belong. Because like people and relationships really matter to me. And because I feel like if the university provides you a space where you are given that kind of culture, it also makes you grow. Because I think that an environment needs to be enabling to kind of foster your growth, which Duke kind of provided me with. But yeah, and then the interview was really good, and that's what I felt. Like because if you look at the US rankings, Duke is now number 11 or 12, but the experience that you might get at Duke would be very different than, let's say, what you would get at Stanford. Like, of course, Stanford is a lot harder to get into, but it's also very, very cutthroat. So you need to realize who you are as a person, where you would thrive better. And I'm not saying Duke's not competitive; it's very competitive. Like I was used to scoring really well in Delhi, and like wherever I was before. But at Duke, like I was surrounded by so many smart people, so it gets a little harder to score. And because like the scoring system is more like a bell curve, rather than an absolute scoring like we have in India. I would say like, yeah, it is very competitive, but it's not like it doesn't make you feel like you're lagging behind in a way, because let's say like if you're not if you're not doing too well in academics, and if you're doing well in another aspect, that's totally fine.
Okay. So what about the student-teacher ratio? How was that?
I think according to me, I think it's around 8:1. Like we do have big class sizes, and especially actually all the batches in Fuqua have big class sizes. We had a class size of around 250 to 60 to 250 to 260 students, and we were split into so because my course also had different like we had different tracks. There was finance, strategy, marketing, and forensics. I was in the finance track, but there were also others. Like the finance track had around 80 people. There were more people in the strategy track. But so it depends. Let's say like the strategy track is huge. So one class, let's say, would have around 50 to 60 students. Um, and so you can't get to know everyone because the class size is so big. But I don't think it's an issue with the student to faculty ratio. Like everyone is pretty much approachable. You can go to them, ask them for doubts or anything of that sort.
Okay. So how is the industry placement options at Duke University? Like, are there any part-time jobs available there? Like when you're doing during the course?
During my course, not really, and it's not even recommended because it's such a short course. It's just 10 months, and we only get so it's split into 5 terms of 6 weeks each. And so after each term, we used to get a week off. And in December, we had like 4 weeks off. But in that time, you would rather focus on securing a full-time job than looking for an internship. And during like Monday to Friday, you have no time to go work part-time. So if like, let's say if it was like a 16-month or 20 to 24-month long course, then I would say it makes sense to go look for part-time jobs. But in this course, I don't think there's any scope.
Okay, and then what about after, like once you've completed your course, how was the placement facility after that?
So the thing about like the US in general and Duke would be that Duke gives you a very good network. So it's up to you how you use that network. No one is going to come to you and going to spoon feed you and be like, these are the jobs, apply for it. You have to, and I think that's across US. So you will have to, let's say, like the career management center is really good. They'll provide you resources that you can use. Like they're very good with your resume, your LinkedIn, and even like they'll have a lot of mock sessions. Let's say if you want to get into consulting, they'll have a lot of mock cases. Um, and so they're very helpful in terms of resources, and they have like this entire network online that you can use. And they even post, let's say if the alumni post jobs, and they reach like they if the alum has any jobs, they reach out to the career center saying, these are the jobs, you can let your current students know. So the career management center will post those jobs on LinkedIn and they'll let everyone know. But then yes, again, it's up, and they have like a portal in which you get jobs, but it's up to you how you apply for the jobs. And I would say like the number one thing is to reach out to as many people as you can. Like you kind of have to do everything. So one is reaching out to your alums because they'd be the most helpful. But I would like reaching out to the most random people has been the most helpful to me. And through LinkedIn and sending them notes. Like that's the key, I think, to securing a job in the US. Like send people notes along with sending a network request. Um, and then also I would say just applying directly online is important. Like let's say I was also applying to Amazon because I did a business analytics degree and I wanted to um I was just like, why not? Like, let's when you're kind of looking for jobs, you try to broaden your search a little bit to see what you're interested in, and then you apply. So I applied to Amazon, and even though like I got a referral from someone, it was just a very generic referral where they send you an application link, but that person wasn't in the team that I was applying to. So like let's say for Amazon, it doesn't matter. Like the referral doesn't matter where it comes from. As long as they send you the link, you can apply to 10 job postings. And then if they like you, they select you. But depending on the industry that you want to go to, I think finance is more like you would have to you have to reach out to more people. You will have to look for other avenues to apply for jobs. But if you're looking for a pure business analytics role, like a lot of people go to Capital One through Fuqua, and that I think the network is key because Fuqua has a good network, Duke has a good network. It helps you get a job through that network.
Okay. So in your campus, do you have a computer facility where you can work till late or like study till late at night? Like when you were
Yeah.
doing those, yeah?
There are multiple computers across campus. There's also a library. Um, yeah, I mean, there are no issues on that front at all. Like, there are a lot of places where you can go study, and even at night.
Okay. So like you mentioned, the course was like 10 months. It was very rigorous and intense. I can imagine that. But like, were you able to were you staying late at night to complete your assignments, or like was it a lot of hard work was required there?
In general, yes, I would say like hard work is required in the course, but if you can manage your time, I'm the kind of person who likes to wake up early rather than study late at night. So I used to do that. Some people like to study at night, so they end up doing that. But I don't think it was stretching to the point where you had sleepless nights. That's not the case. It's manageable, like you can manage it, and you might, let's say, go out a little bit lesser than another person who would go up more, but like it's totally manageable. I wouldn't say like it would require you to maybe like 1 2 nights you sleep less when exams are coming around the corner. And because that's every 6 weeks, it can get hectic, but it's not that it would be the case all the time.
Okay. So what clubs do you recommend for international students?
Um, I would say that depending on your interest, honestly, like let's say if I was more interested in finance, so we had MQM started this club like investing. It was basically like an investing and financial analysis club. And then like through that, I went to like I got to attend like a Cornell conference online, and then there were stock pitches and stuff. But you can always go out to reach out to MBA people and be like, I'm interested in this XYZ club. And that could be anything. That could be as long as they're open to accepting MQM applicants, it's totally fine. Like that could be a consulting club. That could also be a social entrepreneurship club that actually a lot of people did at in the MQM and MMS program, because these two are the 10-month long master's programs at FUCA. So it's you can be a part of any club that you want to. um you just need to figure out your time management. I would say I didn't actively be like I did a lot of more like club involvement when I was in Delhi University, because I had 3 years versus now. Because like if your priority is to be more involved as involved as you want in school, then I would say like yes, be part of more clubs. But as an MQM student, like my priority was having a like having a good decent social life. Being a part of like one club was fine to me. Being good at studies and securing a job, like but that was like my main focus, so I didn't put too much time into clubs. But you can, if that is something that is important to you.
Okay. And how are international students supported at the campus?
um what kind of support would you mean?
I mean, like if you're coming all the way from India or probably any other
Mhm.
country to USA and you've never been outside your own world. So
Mhm.
what kind of support the students are given? Like probably in the case of medical as well. And if
Mhm.
support is required when you're not around your own family members there, your friends are there. So that kind of a mental support.
Yeah, I think the biggest support would be that like where you end up staying as an MQM student would be so you don't stay like on campus, you stay off campus, but our off campus is pretty close to like Duke. And because that community is so like everyone lives literally next to each other, and then you end up building bonds. So it's not like you're ever alone, because there are always people like in the same community. But as Duke in general, I would say they keep like sending out emails about they hold a lot of events. So Duke holds a lot of events. They'd be like, we had a Diwali event, we had a Holi event, we even had like they even like Ramzan, they used to have like every day for Ramzan, when like people break their fast, they used to have like a proper buffet system for them, and I used to go with my friends too. So they do hold these I think that they're very interconnected that way, like in terms of culture. That's what I meant. Like it's a lot of fun because they feel like you're involved. And the thing with our course was it was like half Indians and half Asian people. So you kind of didn't feel like you are too away from home because you were surrounded by so many Indian people. So that was the case. And then with healthcare too, they they have very clear guidelines, and they give you they give you detailed information on what you can do. And then the health, like the wellness center is right on campus, so there's no issues on that front. And then if anything happens, you can go to the urgent care, and the insurance is really good. The insurance covers mostly everything. And I think just one advice in general I would give is don't go to don't go to ER. Go there if there is literally a life-threatening emergency, because ER doesn't cover much on insurance as much as urgent care does. But yeah, and I think like in terms of healthcare, I wouldn't say that it's as convenient as it is in India. Because like probably you can get an appointment in a day in India. That might not be the case over there, but it is everything is accessible. and like I didn't face any issues as such in terms of healthcare. Like I broke my ankle and I had to go to the urgent care, but they gave me like this plaster kind of thing that I had to wear for a while to walk and stuff. But I didn't face any problems with in terms of access, or I didn't face any problems in terms of, oh, like this is a place where I feel very, very away from home, because everyone makes you feel included, and you have so many Indians around you, so you end up feeling a little bit at home.
Okay, that's really good to know that. So any tips you would like to share with the students who are planning to study abroad?
Um, I would say, I think number one thing is like when I was applying, and actually, I probably didn't mention this to Aditi ma'am too, because this was a later realization that at the time, like I started applying for business analytics because I thought that those skills are needed more. But I actually got lucky with the course that I went to, because if I didn't have that mix of finance and business analytics, then wouldn't have probably, like I wouldn't have that edge to talk in interviews about finance. But because after being in the course, I realized that like my inner calling, I knew that it was finance. But if I'd gone for a pure business analytics course, I wouldn't probably have been as successful through the course as I was in this one. So I think number one thing would be know what your interests are, and go for that, because like you'd be able to succeed anywhere you would go if you have that drive in you. But like you might not be as interested or as curious about it if it's not your inner calling. So I think that's number one, like know what, like figure out what you want to do and apply for that. And then the next thing would be like when you're coming into the course and when you're studying, um like figure out like three, four things that are important to you and focus on them instead of focusing on everything, because then you might feel like you're out of the course and you're not making the most out of the time that you had. um I think those two things are the most important, and just be like, I think just being open-minded and being willing to talk to people of from any culture, and just being someone who is willing to learn and just very curious would thrive anywhere, I would say, not just abroad, but in India too. But I think on the top of my head, those are the things that come to my mind.
Okay, so what activities did you actually do to enhance your profile? Any suggestions or any kind of activity that you would like to suggest?
I would say that um, like activities to enhance my profile in terms of securing a job, or getting to Duke.
Getting into the university.
Oh, that way. So I think like when you're getting into universities, they look for a holistic application. And before I like, so when I was at Delhi University, I was actively involved in clubs. Like I was part of Enactus, which is again a social and entrepreneurship club. And I was I held a position there as a vice president. I think like that helped me really talk about things that were not just academic oriented, and because they like seeing how you work in teams, how you are as an individual, what your leadership skills are. So I think that was really important. And then I also volunteered outside of Delhi University. I volunteered with Teach for India. I think that was helpful. Then I did because I dance, I spoke about that as my passion too, and just other stuff I did. Like I was the general secretary in the economics council at the U. So I spoke about that. So I think having things, and I think as a college student, the most you can do is through college. So I would say like being involved in that is very important. Being involved in the festivals that happen in college, and just being able to talk about that makes like the university feel like you are more of a person, like you have a bigger personality than your grades and your GMAT or whatever it is. I think that was very important to Duke, which is also why they asked like 25 random facts. Um, yeah, and I think like that was mostly about it, and then just making sure that you, like, as an applicant, the course that you're applying for, you should make sure that like the words that you use or on your resume in general resonate with the degree that you're going for. But I think just see what you like and be involved in it and talk about it. I think that's key. If you if you're just someone who has only academics and only school oriented projects, then like I would say that becomes a little tough to talk to in interviews, because they'll always ask you what did you do apart from that.
Okay. So is food a problem there, or was it a problem there when you were studying at that time?
Food, I would say, so there are Indian stores nearby, and like they do deliveries. So as like being an Indian myself, I love, like I cannot live without Indian food. So we used to order, like I was living with a flatmate too. So we used to order a lot of uh, so we used to order, let's say, uncooked fulka rotis. There were also tiffin services that you could opt for, but I wouldn't say like it was it happened like later on in the year, and people ended up cooking too. Honestly, like you can cook if you feel like you can manage your time. People end up cooking, so I wouldn't say like accessibility in terms of groceries is not hard. You can get it, and because there are so many Indians, they do deliveries every, like I think twice a week or even more than that. Um, people do a lot of ready to eat food. I personally preferred ordering instead of doing ready to eat food, because like I thought fresh was better. But you can cook. You can cook. I'd be lying if I said if I cooked a lot, but I did not cook a lot. But I don't think that accessibility to Indian food is a problem. Like there are also a lot of Indian restaurants that you can order from. If you stop comparing the taste that you get, it'll be very difficult. Because Durham is also a very small city. Like if there is Cary nearby that you can drive to just 20 minutes, 20-30 minutes away, they have a lot more Indian restaurants. Like they have more options. Right now I don't feel like there's a problem of Indian food, because like the city provides so many options. So it's honestly like it didn't matter much, because it was a very short duration of time. But you can manage. There's no problem.
Okay. The next question on my list is, how did you plan out your budget?
So I think the first 2 months you take to figure out what you end up spending most on, what is your budget like. So you can't like go with the idea of this is how much I'd spend, because you haven't been there before, so you don't know what the expenses would be like, and different like every city has different kind of expenses. Like it will be more expensive probably to buy groceries at one than the other. So the first 2 months are about figuring out what your budget is like. And then if you're the kind of person who loves going out and like eating out or whatever, going out with friends, then you budget it accordingly. But I would say like I thought about what my rent was, and then the rest, I after those like 1-2 months, I figured out, okay, this would be the approximate that I would need every month, and then that's how you do it. But and the rents are not that like, thankfully the good thing with Durham is that the rents are not that steep. Like you can get a good decent size apartment, like a 2 bed 2 bath for, let's say, 1,400-1,500 bucks per month. Like for per person it turns out to be around 700-750.
Okay. What do you miss the most about India?
I think two things. uh, I'm a big foodie, so I miss like Indian food a lot. I mean, it's not like I don't get Indian food here, but just like some stuff, like galati kebab, sikh kebab, they're the same taste you can't get. So that is something that I miss the most. I miss my friends and family. Um, because if you've grown up with certain people, you just miss that. Like you miss having that comfort around you. But yeah, those two things are the things that I miss. Yeah.
Okay. Lastly, how was your experience with ProEat?
Oh, it was great. As you can see, I mean, I spend a lot of time with Namrata ma'am. Like she helped me with the interviews a lot. Like I think, like you would be surprised right now because I didn't prepare at all today. Like I barely looked at the questions. And I remember with Namrata ma'am, I used to be like initially because like I used to be so anxious. So I used to be very, it seemed in my face that I'm not as like confident and stuff, but over time with a lot of practice, she helped me become more confident. And I thought that like, that was number one. Like that helped me crack my interviews. And then Aditi ma'am was always like there throughout. She was my support. And then I think the best thing like about Aditi ma'am was she was very real with you. Like she'd tell you what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. And sometimes like she'd tell me in my face, like, you need to improve on this essay, what you're doing. And then sometimes when it was really good, she'd be like, you don't need any edits. This is really good. You've mastered it. So it was pretty cool, like having, and her expertise is really good. Like she knows what universities, like what kind of, what to wear, what to expect, what kind of questions you might get. So like she's obviously an expert, so it was really helpful throughout. And it was a very positive experience. And like they're very helpful. You can reach out to them sometimes, like you can reach out to them on text. It doesn't just have to be when your appointment is. And uh like it was a very chill and open space, I would say. It was fun working
Hmm. Feeling is mutual.
with
Okay.
them.
Ashish wants to ask you a question. He says that, what is the best time to apply and secure a job?
Yeah, so I think that I'm just curious. Okay, maybe I can just give a general answer, but I was just curious
So
if
just
that
to
a
let you know
student
that
or a parent.
he's applying to Duke University. He's got through Duke University.
Or the same course.
Yeah, I think it's the same course, Ashish, isn't it?
Correct, same course.
Yes.
And
Did
also
you?
the finance track.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in the finance track. Nice. So I'm guessing like you want to get into finance.
Yeah.
Okay. So there were like a few people who wanted to get into core finance, but there were also few who just wanted like more of an analytics role at a finance firm. So I would say it totally depends on like timeline, like investment banking. I didn't want to get into investment banking, but if I did, then it would be as soon as I started like my course. But for finance, I would say it's a process. I think for any like for any industry, it's a process. So the earlier the better. And I don't mean in terms of applying, like going to a link and then applying for it. And I would say reaching out to people, because when you have conversations with people, you actually understand what the company does, what the role is like. And I think that time is the best time to reach out to people from not a senior position, because someone at a junior position that you would want to get into would be able to tell you what kind of role it is, and like whether you like it or not, and even might even give you kind of more of an honest opinion about the culture. And I would say like being a cultural fit in that firm is very important too. So one thing is that, because when you have those conversations with people, and then eventually when you apply for a job there, then you can reach out to them again and be like, hey, look, like I spoke to you, at this time, and like I would love to, like I'm graduating in a couple of months. I would speak to you. I would love to speak to you again, and all of that. So I would say reaching out to people earlier, the better. But it's not like if you start 4 months before graduating, you won't get a job. Like I do know people who started like 3 4 months before graduating, and they did end up getting a job. Like let's say in tech firms don't care about you applying 6 months before. Like they'd want you to apply maximum 3 months before, because it's more on a rolling basis. They hire based on need, so they'd be like, these are the roles that they have, and then that's the time to apply. Like you could get an applicant, like they could get an applicant who wants to apply 6 months before, but it might not turn out to be as fruitful, like from my experience and from what I'd heard when I was talking to people, because they'd be like, you're graduating much later, so come back to us, in like 2 3 months. So I think that, and depends on where in finance you want to go to, and you don't have to know now. Like you can know once you talk to more people, and then you figure it out. But uh, I would say like the earlier the better, at least in terms of outreach, because it can take some time to understand what is your true calling in terms of the industry and the firm, like the kind of firm that you want to work in. Um, yeah, I mean, sorry if that wasn't too specific, like you can ask me more questions if you want.
So actually, right now my perspective is basically for a techno finance role,
Okay.
fintech types. So I want to be part. I want to be part of the technical side also. So what is your
Mhm.
perspective and what do you know about that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people get into, there are a lot of fintech firms that people get into. Like I've seen people go to New York and like SF both for fintech. And so I think number one is to go to the alum list. Like once you join, take 1 2 months to get into the groove of just like being in the course and studying. Just go through the alum list because the career center is really good about posting the alum, their LinkedIn and their email and stuff. See their list and see what firms they're working at, and see if they're posting jobs online. Like if they have a job that you're interested in, maybe you could even apply 6 months before. And so the best way to know is to talk to someone at the firm. And then they'd be able to tell you the timeline. Like when I was applying, someone at like Microsoft told me that I spoke to like people from Microsoft, even in the tech space, like because you're interested in tech and finance both, but I was also looking at like maybe like business analyst or financial analyst roles at tech firms too. So they gave me like they made me. It also used to happen where I used to reach out to one person, and that one person used to make me talk to another person who had like who could maybe speak more to the kind of role that I was interested in. So through that, you also figure out what the timeline is right for that role and that team. But like there's no specific timeline. I know that's not helpful, but that's the thing with US, like there's no specific timeline on when you should start. But there is no harm in scheduling 2 3 calls a week, let's say a month or two being in the program to just figure out what is right for you. Because like I reached out, let's say, to someone in as soon as I started, like in August, I spoke to someone, and because like I remember talking to him, I actually ended up like talking to him right before I got a job, and like he told me that he doesn't have there are no openings right now, but like number one is building relationships, and that really helps you here like in the US, because that person I ended up talking to recently, like I spoke to him about my role, he spoke to me about his role. And let's say if yours on the line, like I want to switch my role, I want to switch my job, it'll be super helpful to have that network. So look for postings online in the companies that you're interested in. Sometimes you don't even know what kind of companies you want to go to because there are so many. So use like I would say like leverage the Fuqua Finance, like Fuqua and even Duke alumni, because you'll be part of the Duke alumni page as well once you join. So it's not just Fuqua people, but leverage like the Duke network too. But I would say like if your goal in the program is to secure like a job and like not come back to India, then I would say start as early as you can. There is no harm in starting the process. You don't have to be as rigorous about it as you would probably starting in March if you're graduating in May, but just like getting your foot in the game is kind of important.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Anybody else has any questions? I guess Malvika has answered all the questions.
Malvika, I wanted to know what is the class like? Like how many international students, how many local students? Like what is the diversity like?
Mhm.
Is it
So
like
I
too
would say
many Asians?
I would say that MQM is 85% international students, out of which out of that 85, like half would be Indians, half would be Asians. MMS is kind of more diverse, because MMS, unless you take certain programs, like unless you take certain courses, that's not a STEM course. So like a lot more Americans end up going for that because they don't care about STEM essentially. But yeah, so if you're looking for diversity in terms of other like people from other countries, then like MBAs are more diverse, I would say, because like essentially more Asians, Indians end up going for masters, uh, because we want to get a job in the US, and that's the way to go about it too. But I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah. And how many of your batchmates got jobs, like international students? Like you're saying 85% of the batch was international. How many people got jobs?
So the time we graduated last year, we got really lucky, and it was actually the strongest employment report of like the entire MQM history. It was out of everyone who wanted to get a job, got a job within 6 months of graduating. So there are also some
That's
people who don't
fantastic.
want to get a job. Yeah. Yeah. Like some people, there are some people, let's say, who want to get into consulting or IB, they got a job within the first year of being in the course, like the first 6 months of being in the course. But there are people, like I have friends who got a job before graduation, on graduation, and then 2 months of graduation. Everyone I knew actually got a job within, like everyone was employed within 2 months of graduation.
Okay.
And I would say like this year is kind of hard, but like Ashish, if you're entering this year and graduating next year, it should be fine. Like it should be fine for you.
Do employers come, or do you have to like fly to different cities for job interviews?
So when I was interviewing, because we're kind of still in the post-pandemic era, but like not exactly now, but still, because they knew I was in Duke, I was interviewing virtually only. But I do know that, like I recently only heard some MQM students flew into New York just to network with people. Um, Also because, like I said, like it's kind of a sad time right now, in terms of employment. But otherwise, I don't think it totally depends on the company. That I was also interviewing with a firm where if I would have reached one of the rounds, I would have had to come for like an entire day an interview in New York. But it can depend. It can be purely virtual. It can be maybe initially virtual. Later they call you into the office. Uh, but you should be open to both.
Okay. Because traveling becomes very expensive. You go,
Yes,
you
I
stay,
agree.
you
I
spend
agree.
airplane money.
I agree. Like you can always request and be like, I'm here. But I mean, like once I get a job, of course, I'd be moving. So would you be open to holding interviews virtually? But if they're like no, then like so that having that open-mindedness should be important. Because you never know what a firm wants to do. So
I think Ashish had a question. Ashish, you were saying something and I interrupted you.
No. I was just saying, yeah, it was recession time, so basically they would be having difficulties right now.
yeah, yeah, that's what I hear.
And what is the
Unfortunately.
pay package like that the students received on an average, like from what to what? Like, what is the range generally, if you have any idea?
Yeah, so MQM also really like they've released our employment report for our batch. It's a full detailed one. It should be helpful, but the average, the median is around 103, like 103,000, if I'm not wrong, and it can range from 85, 90 to I mean, like, it can go up. It can go up, I think, to 150 plus also, but that's rare.
That's very good because some of the MBAs give you that much return. So it's a good return on your investment.
Yeah, because these skills are no doubt like honestly, like even though I'm in a pure finance role, I one of the reasons also they hired me was because I said that, oh, I use this as a skill, and I because they wanted someone who can help automate some of their processes too. like I don't need to be a data analyst, but like one of the first few things that I did in my job too was use Python to generate automated emails for certain things for which they had to open their files, open like 10 files every day. So if you can make like your employer's lives easier, you obviously have an edge. And so I would say like, and these skills are very important, which is why like even right now, like I'm talking to a friend who has been in the States, but he's looking for roles as a data analyst or a BI, like business intelligence analyst. He is getting a lot of openings because there is demand for these skills. Like it's not like no one is hiring, people are hiring. It's just not a great time in the market. So of course, like people who have overhired are firing, like firms like Amazon and Meta. But I would say like in terms of it's definitely better to go for a program that gives you these skills rather than going for a pure management program, because like Americans are very good at talking in business anyway. So like if you want an edge, like these skills would be important for that. And now I feel like firms also value diversity a lot, like it's in their business plans to hire people from other cultures because you kind of want to show the firm as a diversified firm instead of a purely American um descent kind of firm. But yeah.
So that's interesting. You're in New York now?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. How's New York treating you?
New York is good, ma'am. You know, I wanted to be here. I love it. Like I have fun. I have fun on the weekends. I work. I mean, I work like 50 hours a week, and it's hectic for sure. Because my travel time is like 45, 50 minutes, sometimes an hour. But like you figure it out. It's fun, and you get to meet like if you're the kind of person who's outgoing and wants to get out of your comfort zone, then New York like is the place for you, because there are just so many places you can go to, so many events that you can go to. It can be fun.
That's
It can also be
lovely.
overwhelming. It can also be overwhelming. So you need to realize that you're not on vacation. You live here. Just take it easy. Do what you want to do. Figure out how you want to spend your time.
So where do you live and where do you work? What are the locations?
My work is in Midtown Manhattan. It's
Okay.
right across Rockefeller Center. Um, I live in West New York, New Jersey. So right when you after you cross the Lincoln Tunnel, it's just 10 minutes from there, 5-10 minutes from there.
So you take the tube and walk.
Yeah, I take the ferry in the morning, and I take the bus in the evening.
Okay. That's interesting. Taking a ferry to work. Oh.
Yeah, it's a cleaner route for sure.
That's lovely. I'm so glad to hear this, you know. This was really
I'm
nice.
glad. I know I still can't see your face, but
Yeah. There's some issue with my video camera. It's just not coming on. It's on, but you can't see my face. I'm
okay, we can
sorry.
catch up. We can catch up another time. We can do
Yes.
video call on WhatsApp.
Yeah. Thank you so much, you know,
Of course.
yeah.
I hope this was helpful. I felt like I was rambling, but I was also reliving while I was speaking.
Not at all. It was very clear and very concise and very well. You know, your speaking skills have improved like
Thank you, ma'am.
vastly.
You guys have seen it. So if you're saying that it has improved, then like, yeah, you know
Yeah.
what university and US does to you.
You're just flowing, you know. So
Yeah, I'm glad. Cool. If you guys have
Any
any more
questions?
questions.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anybody? I guess no. I would like to thank Malvika. I
Thank
mean, it
you.
was really helpful and insightful.
Great.
Thank you so much, Malvika, on the behalf of ProEED and our guest as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and good luck, everyone. I hope everyone gets to where they
Malvika.
want to be.
and
Thank
you
you.
too.
See you, Malvika.
Thank you, ma'am.
See you. I hope you come to Gurgaon soon and we can meet.
You know what? I can't believe I didn't meet you. I came for 2 weeks last month only. But
Next time.
I just came for 2 weeks. It was too less. I'll come again, and I'll definitely come to your office.
Yeah. I want to meet you, Pratna, both of you.
Done. I haven't met her also, but life.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Even she is in New York, na? Namrita, the girl who'd gone for photography, I forgot her name.
Angel,
No,
Anjal.
Anjal.
She has come back, Aditi. She's come
Angel is
back.
in Mumbai. She's in
She's
Mumbai.
come back and she is working with somebody in Mumbai.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. She had gone to
Oh.
NYFA.
Yeah, but she's back.
And even Rishabh had gone, Malvika, to Carnegie Mellon.
Rishabh from
Call.
Partners Batch.
Call, Rishabh call.
Nice. So is he back? Like, is he in the US?
I have no clue, but maybe you can ask now. Maybe he's working in New York for all you know.
Possible. Yeah. Cool.
Take care. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Malvika.
Malvika.
Thank you.
See you
Yeah.
guys.
Lovely
Bye.
seeing you again. Bye. Bye. Take care.
Have a good night.
Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Good night.